Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our Center Court Festival. We are focused on specialty master's programs. They have been explosive in growth for the last 10 years, I'd say, but have really come on strong in the last five, where enrollments and the number of options that you can take is really completely exploded and all over the world, not just in the US. So we're going to explore this topic today. There are a number of different programs that will be talked about today, but mainly we're going to focus around business analytics. And what I think is really cool is the different kinds of options in terms of length, in terms of whether it's online or whether it's in person, in terms of whether it's in Europe on beautiful campuses in Berlin and Paris, or in the U.S. on campuses in Atlanta and at William and Mary. We'll get into all of this. It's going to be very cool. You're going to really love it, and you're going to learn a lot, okay? Because what this is all about is helping you make an informed decision about where to go, so you have the kind of ideal fit with a program and with your career outcomes and desires. So let me introduce everyone here. I'm really excited to have each and every one of you with me. Let's go to Paris first, the city of light, okay? All the way on your right, we have Gadish Makanda, who is from ESCP Business School. And while we're gonna talk primarily about their big data and business analytics program, I just need to note that ESCP has actually 23 different specialty master's programs, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. I mean, everything from marketing and communications to digital transformation and leadership. It's just an amazing portfolio of programs in different parts of the European continent. So it's not only Paris and Berlin, which is where the business analytics program is sort of centered, but in many other of the European capitals. And then in Atlanta, from Emory's Goizueta School of Business, we have Allison Jacobs, who's Assistant Director of Admissions. And we're going to talk about their 10-month-long business analytics program, which is very much project-based. And we'll get into that very soon. And then in Pittsburgh, we have Cindy Mccauley, who I've had the pleasure of doing a fireside chat in the past. You can look it up. You see me having a really goofy laugh in the thumbnail picture of that fireside chat. And Cindy is Executive Director of Tepper's online master's programs. Tepper has several master's programs in business, but we're going to mainly talk about business analytics at Tepper. And theirs is an 18-month-long online program, so a whole different kind of kettle of fish. And then at William and Mary Raymond Mason School of Business, we have Jonathan Schramm, who's Director of Admissions. And William and Mary has two specialty master's programs, one in accounting and one in business analytics. And we'll talk about both of those as well during our session. So let's go right to me, what the meat of this is. For someone who's not, totally knowledgeable about the field, I want to ask you, why are non-MBA master's degrees in business so hot right now? Cindy, you want to start?
Sure. So, what we see is two kind of student that comes to our program. So somebody who's kind of just come out of undergrad, who's looking to get that deep dive, that specialized knowledge in a particular area to give them a leg up in the market, right? Maybe they come out of their undergrad, they had a great experience, but they don't necessarily have that thing to hold their hat on when they're recruiting. So they want kind of that specialized knowledge. And then because we're a part-time program that's online, all of our students are working professionals. So we also get this sort of mid to even late career person who's looking to get deeper skills in business analytics, right? So they're looking to round out their skill set, but they just need something very specific. So I think, specialized masters fits the bill for those kind of students when they have a very specific need, right? Where, we talk about MBAs and it's a general management degree. This is for people who really want to go very deep in a particular area, be an expert in that area, really focus in that area. And I think it's very appealing right now as people try to stand out in the marketplace, to kind of be able to say, I've got this particular skill set. And so I think that's why we're seeing such growth in it.
And the beauty is the demand from the employers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, employers today, unlike employers of yesterday, want to hire people who can immediately contribute from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago in the 60s, 70s, and before, many companies had training programs and they brought in undergraduate people and they trained them and they spent 6 months to a full year training them. By and large, that is over. And so employers increasingly want someone who starts, can immediately contribute. And the way they can immediately contribute is having the skills and knowledge in a particular topic that allows them to make an impression right away.
Right.
Now, Kadish, at your school with the 23 different programs, now, how did that evolve? I mean, it must be a function of employer demand, right?
Yes, what we have so many different programs is because we have fixed campuses
Yes.
in Paris, London, Madrid, Turin, Berlin, and I said Madrid maybe, and Warsaw. So each campus has its own program. So in Paris, we have the biggest number of programs, which is 13, but all the other campuses have their own programs as well. And for data, for the program in big data that we launched 3 years ago now, it's really because companies had that need of people who are able to manage data and to be able to understand data and to take decisions taking into account data. So our big data and business analytics program is a program which is dedicated to people who maybe don't have the technical part of big data, but they are able to analyze things.
Right. And, we'll go from the 23 programs to the one program at Emory. Emory has one specialty master's program. It's in business analytics. Allison, what kind of demand is there for your graduates?
Well, what we're finding is that the demand is really high. And I think the beauty about the Master of Science in Business Analytics programs in general is just how flexible of a degree it is. All kinds of organizations are needing people with the data, technology, and business skills to go in and immediately make sense of the data that is out there and turn it into some sort of actionable insight for the company. So we have been, as many MSBA programs around the country have had 100% placement. And, even during the time of COVID, when our students graduated in May, we did not see a decline in demand for people with the data and the business skills combined. And we're still placing students straight through the May through August timeframe. So that's something that I feel is very encouraging for those graduates that are maybe thinking about this program, that this is something that is not only in demand, it is very flexible in terms of the types of jobs and the types of companies that you can go towards after.
Right. Now, Jonathan, I know that generally in terms of specialty masters, the most sought after one happens to be in finance. Accounting, I think, is second. Data analytics, business analytics is probably the fastest growing by far in the last 5 years. And can you explain the reasons for that?
Analytics, why it's the fastest growing in the last 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I would say it definitely has to do with the increase in data that is available and the amount of people that know what to do with that. There's just so much online activity for companies. They're looking at consumer research and consumer behavior, and they want to find graduates and professionals who know how to take these massive spreadsheets and huge sets of data and turn them into information. And they're not only looking for data scientists, but they're looking for business strategists as well. So I think that's the beauty of the business analytics degree, is that you're not just teaching someone how to work through a huge data set, but you're also teaching them how to walk down the hallway, make the presentation, and persuade your boss or your company to make a decision based on that. So I would say that, and just the sheer amount of data out there, and the fact that it's new versus accounting, which is the oldest career in the world, essentially.
Yes, indeed. You know, I'm glad you mentioned the non-analytical part of the program, because I think that a lot of people who start thinking about specialty master's programs, you know, because they're so specific in terms of a discipline or a subject, you might think that all you get is a deep dive in that one little narrow field. In fact, you go to a good business school and you are going to learn how to make a persuasive presentation. You are going to learn how to use networking. You are going to learn the communication skills that make you an effective leader and an executive in a company, above and beyond the basic skill set that you walk away from.
That's right.
Which I think is a really important point. The other thing about data, as you point out, is we are overwhelmed with data. And the problem that companies are having right now is they have these massive data sets, but it's very hard to harness them into real effective decision making. And what these degrees do is give you the tools to get control over these massive data sets, get your arms around them so that they become incredibly useful for decision making in companies and organizations, which is really why the demand for the degree is so high, because people who can do that are still very rare. It's a scarcity problem, which is why almost all of the business analytics programs in particular have exceptionally high placement rates, good starting salaries, and it's kind of like a dream market, even through the pandemic. So let's start with the basics, okay? So how long is your program? How long has it been around? And what are the particular like hallmarks of the program that make it stand out? Jonathan, since we're with you, we're going to start with you. And I know one of the cool things about your program is that 1/3 of the curriculum is in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Two things that will scare a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it does scare people, but the great thing is we have ways to prep our students. And so our program's been around since 2016. So we're going into our 5th cohort this year. And basically we are preparing students, we're putting them at the cutting edge of business analytics in an environment that replicates basically a business world. And students are gaining insights from a diverse number of perspectives, and they're going through critical thinking projects with a 5-person team and emerging with the analytic expertise to solve complex problems from multiple perspectives. So basically we've got 4 key competencies, basically business acumen, applied mathematics, computing technologies, and communicating with impact. And our length of our program, it is 10 months long, and it can be a little longer if we tack on the summer boot camp. We actually have a residential boot camp that prepares students in those technical areas, artificial intelligence, Python, and machine learning. So
the quant stuff, the
quant stuff, yeah, so you don't need to be scared. We take students from all different backgrounds.
But I'm sure your boot camp would adjust me in the right way, I'm sure. And of course, if you have those prerequisites, you may not have to do the boot camp or only do part of it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. Okay, and how does that compare over at the Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School, Cindy, to your program?
Sure. So our program is a part-time program. So we're 18 months, all working professionals, and it's all online. You know, we're really trying to create analytics professionals that understand the business context and can use the data to make recommendations that are going to impact the organization. So it's a combination of courses that try to do all of those things, right? So methodology classes like machine learning and optimization, more advanced analytics classes like data visualization, modern data management, classes that are helping you to really understand big data sets and what to do with them. But then the other side are the business fundamentals classes. So we actually have a class called business fundamentals because we think it's important to understand the context of the data. We have a managing people and teams class, and then really importantly, a communications class. Because I think we like to joke that, it's not enough to be the smartest person in the room. If you can't convince anyone else of your ideas, it's not super helpful. So we want to teach students to be able to communicate clearly what they found in the data and really influence leaders to make better decisions. And then we have a Capstone project. It's actually a live project with a company with real data, and the students are able to apply everything they learned and use that data. It's not easy. I mean, when we did it, we're only in our third cohort, so we've had one cohort go through the Capstone so far, and I mean, they walked away and went, holy heck, that might have been one of the hardest things I've ever done. But they also walked away and said, I got so much out of that. Like, I learned a ton, and it gives you the ability to really apply everything. Just format-wise, our program's online, so students are live weekly online classes. So they're with the faculty that teach every class, and these are amazing faculty in this program. I'm not just saying that. We've got some amazing folks teaching in this program. And so they're live weekly classes, just like a regular class that you go to, and you work in teams. And then we actually have 3 campus experiences. So we do try to replicate a little bit of that in-person experience at the beginning of the program, in the middle, and then the Capstone. They come to campus. They can be on CMU's campus for a bit, obviously not during coronavirus, but once we all return to normal. And students really like that, because just because we're part-time, we don't give up any of those benefits of what might be a full-time program. Things like the Capstone experience or the best faculty or some of that in person. So students, the whole cohort experience, I think, really elevates it and makes it, you're not giving anything up as a part-time online student with our program.
So you've had 3 cohorts. Tell me, what was your intake on number 1, number 2, and number 3? Because I want everyone to know what kind of growth you've experienced.
Sure. So number 1 was 13. We started really small, wanted to make sure we got it right. Last year was 25. This year's 31.
Uh-huh.
So we're growing, but keeping it small. What's that?
You're going in the right direction.
That's exactly right.
And Jonathan, I forgot to ask you, what's the size of your intake?
Sure, we brought in 76 students this year into the MSBA program.
Yeah, that's a nice group of students to have. And is it on campus, or given the pandemic, is it a hybrid format?
It is on campus. Basically, we have students on different intervals. So we have the half of the cohort coming to class on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then the other half of the cohort coming to class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But it's and those who aren't in class at that time that the others are, they are learning remotely. But basically, they're all on campus and at least coming into the building.
Now, I know your program is STEM designated, which means for people who are international applicants that they'll get 36 hours of OPT, optional, what is it called? Optional,
36 months of optional practical training.
Practical training, that's what I was looking for, which really makes it a little bit easier to get a job in the US. If it's a STEM-related job. And of course, if you're doing data analytics, it's going to be a STEM-related job. Cindy, I'm assuming that you're STEM designated as well?
This program is not, because we're part-time. There's no visa with the program.
Okay. But Jonathan, yours is too?
Yes, ours is STEM designated.
So Allison, tell us about your program.
Sure. So we are a 10-month STEM credentialed MSBA program. We started the program in 2017 and designed it to combine the languages of business, data, and technology to create what we call is a business data scientist. So like everyone else, we recruit from a wide variety of backgrounds. The program starts with boot camps in business, data, and technology. technology. We also run a consulting / business problem solving boot camp all year. The fall semester is the technical semester, which is really giving the students the skills they need to be dangerous, I would say, as a business data scientist. So they're going to take classes such as machine learning, data mining, social network analytics, data visualization. And then the spring semester is going to be more of an application of those skills. And so the majority of time spent in the spring semester is on our Capstone project, where every team of 4 students will work on a unique company and business problem and use the company's data to solve that business problem. And as Cindy mentioned, these are real problems that I think similar to what a consulting firm would encounter. So students are facing hurdles every step of the way. But at the end of those 10 months, the students are really equipped to go out there and immediately start for a company and add value, because that Capstone experience has mirrored exactly what they see in the workforce. Very similar to the other programs are very small, and so we provide a wide variety of events, and we also do a lot of the same training on the professionalism and communication skills that our MBA students receive. So our students will go through a leadership program that is run by a 3-star general. They'll have intensive communication skills workshops, professionalism and networking opportunities, as well as very individual career services, because as I think we've all experienced, companies are recruiting for these students for such a wide variety of positions and roles. There's no real one size fits all. So therefore our career services is very individual and unique to the person that is going through the program.
Now, does your 3-star general bring your students to the old Marine camp? Was it Paris Island?
Yes, he does, Fort Benning. This year, of course, though, we couldn't go, so there was a virtual simulation. But yes, we go down very early in the morning to Fort Benning, and our students go through a leadership reaction course that those officers in the military also go through. So that's fun for us to watch. I'm not sure it's fun for the students to go through that early in the morning.
I can tell everyone that I had the privilege of going to that camp for Emory and writing about it. And I have to say, I'm very happy I was an observer and not a participant, especially when they start firing.
It's much better to be the observer.
Bullets over their head. Just kidding.
I didn't understand why they didn't have fun. I was sitting there having a great time.
And Yadish, there are a couple things about your program that I really love. I love the fact that you can study in both Berlin and Paris. I love your week-long immersion in Beijing. So talk about your program and how long it's been around in business analytics and big data, and what the approach is.
Yeah, sure. So our program was launched in 2017. And so the program is 4 year long, and the program is really focused on data science, business analytics, and analytical applications. And the program, the aim of the program is that people coming from very diverse background will be able at the end of this program to manage business analytics in a very international environment. So the focus is really the possibility for all students to be able to manage diverse kind of interest in data, and the possibility for them to be working in any company, a big one, a small one, internationally or not. So they do develop a lot of courses linked with companies. It's really a hands-on approach because we have a lot of hackathon going on during the year with different companies. So at the end of the courses, they are really able to be completely operational in the field that they wanted to enter. So we really work closely with companies to help them acquire all the necessary tools they need for being able to work in data science.
And do you spend half the time in Berlin and half the time in Paris?
It's more, no, it's a bit longer in Paris, a few months in Berlin, and then only a week in China.
Now, those are two great cities to spend time in. I imagine that for me would be an incredible distraction.
We do help them. I mean, we all our campuses are really in the heart of the different countries we are in. So it's really easy for students to discover it. Of course, they do all the cultural side of the countries, but at the same time, it's really easy for us to have professionals ready to come and give courses for our students because we are really close to them.
Talk a little bit about the latest incoming class. Its diversity, its international makeup, the size of it. What does it look like?
So our last cohort is composed of 83 students. So it's a big class.
Yeah.
It's a big class with a lot of international students. So we have 24 different nationalities in. So we were a bit afraid because it's a program which normally had a lot of international students, and this year, I mean, we were able to keep that level of international students. So yes, we're a bit afraid before it starts, but they were all about capable of arriving in Paris because they start in Paris. And we did start our classes a bit later than we used to do. So they have plenty of time to arrive in Paris.
And what's your gender split? Male, female?
Male, female. Okay, so this year it's a bit more male. It's not that a big difference. So we have, let me just think, I can't remember, sorry.
That's okay.
No, yeah, it's about 60% of male.
Okay. Very good. And Allison, your latest intake, what does that look like?
Well, John, this year we were so excited because actually 60% of our class is female this year. So the women are definitely ruling the classroom.
Wow. I'm impressed.
I know, it was.
Wow.
This was the first time we were able to go over the 50% mark, and they're definitely making a big splash. We sent them all to the Grace Hopper event this year too, which was an amazing event for those in technology and business analytics. So that's a trend we hope to maintain.
And do you get international students in your intake?
We do. Typically, in the past, we have been around 70%, 75% international. This year, as I would imagine, many of us have experienced, we are about 50, 60% domestic this year. So that was a bit of a shift, but we're hoping our international students will be able to make it to campus next year as they had planned to do this year, since many of them decided to defer considering the circumstances.
Yeah, of course. And I should point out to those who may not know that, many of the U.S. embassies have been closed during the pandemic. It was very difficult to get a student visa to come to the U.S. to study. And then there were also travel restrictions that got in the way for many people. And I think international enrollments at almost every graduate program in the United States is down. Cindy, what's the makeup of your class, your latest class?
Sure. So like I said, we're bringing in 31 students that we start actually this month. We start a little later into the fall. Average age is about 30. With a pretty big range, like 21 to 43. Like I said, we get those early career, but we also get those mid to late career. So there really is a pretty big range. We are 23% women. I'm super jealous of Emory's number. That's a great number to have. It's interesting. We don't have traditional international students. So we do accept students from international students. Most international students, as we all know, want to study in the US. So we do have a couple of students that actually live abroad that are in our program, in our online program. But we actually have a fair number, about 30%, who are actually citizens of another country, but working in the US. So we found that to be a pretty big market for us, people that are kind of take that opportunity. The CMU brand is strong internationally. They're working in the US. They say, hey, I can do this part-time online program and keep my job. So I'm not here on a student visa, I'm here on a work visa. So we have a fair number that are doing that.
Right. That's great. Jonathan?
Yes, I too am jealous of the female male breakdown at Emory. I will say our accounting program, we ended up with 52% female, 48% male. So we're at 28% female, 72% male for the MSBA program. Again, we're bringing in 76 students. Average age is around 24 students. Our domestic number came in at 82%. So we have 82% domestic students in the program this year. We usually shoot for about 70-30. So the 18% is almost half of what we typically see for international students. That said, we did end up with a pretty great number of countries represented from those students who were already studying in the US and were able to transfer their visas to another US institution. We've got students from Bermuda, China, Colombia, Jamaica, Japan, Netherlands, South Africa, Taiwan, Tunisia, Turkey, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom. So I think we ended up pretty good there as far as our international diversity despite the lower number.
Now, a lot of specialty master's programs they're called pre-experience. And then there are specialty master's programs that have, you look for people with a number of years of experience, like a full-time MBA program might. And some have a mix. Cindy, her demographics clearly show that it's a mix. Would you say, Jonathan, that your program, given the average age is 24, is more of a pre-experience program?
It is, yes. The vast majority of students we see are pre-experienced straight out of undergrad. And then we have actually a mean years of professional experience is 2 years, but that's mostly from some students who have been out in the workforce for a while or even coming in from the military have boosted that number. But the vast majority of our students have some internship experience, but beyond that, they're almost encouraged to come directly out of undergrad into this program.
And Sid, you gave us a fairly good range of the age of your incoming students. Is there a type of work experience that's best suited for a business analytics program?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty broad. We get people from a lot of different backgrounds. I think a lot of our students, if they aren't kind of that right out of undergrad pre-experience, if they are that, they probably have an undergraduate degree that's fairly related, right? Computer science or math or something like that. We find a lot of other students, because they tend to be more in that like mid-career or even a little bit higher, are working in analytics positions of some sort. They might not be an actual analyst, but they've probably got analytics in their job in some way. But they come from, we've got students from finance, from an operations, in healthcare, lots of different fields. It really, really varies in what they're doing. So there's not one background that necessarily is the right one for our program. We're looking for skills like, mathematical aptitude and some programming experience, but actual function, it really could span so many different things that we're not that prescriptive about it.
And Allison, I'm assuming that yours is largely a pre-experienced program, right?
Actually, that's what we expected in the beginning, but we have been about 60% pre-experience, 40% work experience consistently throughout our 4 cohorts. And within those people that have work experience, we've seen as little as 1 year up to 10 years experience. And so we're able to put together teams that represent a lot of diversity in regards to background, but also with regards to work experience. And we find the people with work experience are either those that are making a pretty big career change, or they're in their jobs and they know they need these skills, but they don't have the time to go out and get those skills on their own. So they say, I'm going to take 10 months and really focus and then go back to the workforce with those skills that I originally had needed in the first place.
And Gadish, are most of your students have little work experience or no?
No, we have more pre-experienced students because we don't ask for professional experience before applying for the program. So what is highly recommended is to have some experience, like internships, maybe in data, in IT, in various kind of fields. But no, it's not compulsory to apply for our program.
So, Kadish, if I had the opportunity to ask your students and your graduates of the program, what would be the hallmarks of the experience? What are the things that you take away? What are the things that you remember? What are the things you like best about the program? What would they tell me?
I think for our program, it will be first of all the multiculturalism of the program, because there are a lot of nationalities, a lot of different backgrounds, and they travel on our different campuses, and they go internationally in China. So I think that the multiculturalism part is something very strong. The other thing would be, I think, the atmosphere in the school, because they get to meet so many different people from everywhere, and they are really helped into the research of their internships and career. So the whole school is really helping students to go to the career that they have chosen. So I think that part is quite important. And I think the good level of employability of the school.
Yeah. And what do they do in the week in Beijing? And I know because of probably travel restrictions, that may be off the table, but by the time people see this and they look it up on the internet for years on end, you will have the immersion in Beijing. What do they do in Beijing?
In Beijing, it's they do work with companies. It's really a professional side of the whole curriculum. So once they have over there, it's really meeting with professional different companies, doing some study cases with companies. So it's really professional, the part that they do in China. It's really to apply what they've seen during their courses in London, Paris, and Berlin.
Right. So that probably comes at the end of the program, and it's a consulting assignment essentially, right, with a company.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And Jonathan, what would be the hallmarks of your business analytics program?
Sure. I think if we talk to one of our recent graduates and ask them what their top 3 experiences were, or the hallmarks of our program, I would definitely say that the massive transformation that they see during that year. It's only a 10-month program, and we bring students in from all types of different backgrounds, some with no technical experience whatsoever. I would say that about 62% of our students come in from econ and business. Another 18 to 20% come in from STEM, and then the rest are from all over the place. We have linguistics, humanities, arts and sciences, students who come in with no technical background, and then basically you see them grow and mature in the program after the first semester, and then really start specializing in the second semester, and then they're just amazed, and we are happy for them with the opportunities that they have in such a short amount of time. So I would say the transformative experience. I would say also the culture at William & Mary is extremely welcoming, team-oriented, not really a competitive atmosphere, but more of a collaborative atmosphere. And just the work they get to do with our Graduate Career Management Center, where we have students who come from arts and sciences schools and that had no career services, to having a personal career services advisor helping them through the negotiation phase all the way back to the application phase. And I would say it's also a very diverse environment as well. And then the Capstone has received a lot of raves from our students, and we have a 2-week Capstone project, and basically they're paired with real world companies with real world problems, and they form a consulting team and then go in to the companies and provide their findings on whatever their problem is. And typically those companies will adopt those. And I would say that the only downside is that they didn't get it to start off with, but without that experience, they can't help the companies. So
And
that
I
would be
think
yes.
I want to pick up on what you said there, because I
Sure.
think it's important for people who may not know about what a business school is all about. You know, at a business school, it's your education doesn't stop with the awarding of your degree or your completion of the classes. A business school doesn't think its job is done until you get a job. That is so different, okay? That is so dramatically different from the experience you're going to have in most undergraduate institutions. And even more importantly, I'm going to tell you it's different than the experience that you'll have in a graduate degree outside of a business school. Business schools devote incredible resources to career management, to professional development, and really their job is not complete until you are secured with employment. And that just doesn't exist in academia anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I took a little detour, did a little lecture. I'm going to move on now, okay? Cindy, what are the cool, magical things that your graduates would cite about the program to me?
Sure. I think one is definitely our faculty. I think, you know, CMU in particular, we're pretty well known for analytics and technology, and so our faculty reflect that. So people like Zach Lipton, who's a joint appointment with the School of Computer Science and us, he teaches our machine learning course. He's an AI like rock star. Like these are pretty impressive people. Willem van Hooven, who started the program, is this unbelievable, like well-known, well-respected operations research guy. Like the fact that the students are always just blown away by the faculty that teach the classes, and the fact that they're in a frankly part-time online program and getting those same people in front of them. I think this, you know, between the faculty and the curriculum, and then the second piece is really the experience. I think, you know, online part-time programs have sort of a bad reputation. People have this vision of what it's going to look like. And our students will always come back and say, like, I had no idea it was going to be this interactive. I didn't know weekly online, you know, classes were going to be the faculty saying, hey, John, what do you think about this question? Like asking questions and calling them out. And just that cohort experience of getting to know each other. And the biggest thing they love are the campus experiences. When we can come to campus and for 3 days, we're all together and they can meet their faculty, see one another, you know, that we have faculty lectures, we've gone on corporate visits, we've visited Google, we've had speakers come in from across campus. And there may be some socializing that happens on those weekends that people really enjoy.
Maybe.
Maybe there might be a little bit of that. But I think that those are really the things that students point to when they talk about this program.
Great. Now, Allison, the hallmarks of your program, what do the graduates remember,
Sure.
talk about, and really have impact?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with our graduates doing similar programs such as this. So I've tried to incorporate some of their words into what I feel are the differentiators in our program. And the first thing is, you know, maybe not so unique, but our very small class size, of course, fosters really deep relationships with our faculty, our program office, alums, and students. So the students they start together at the beginning of the program and they take every class together for the entire 10 months. So the relationships that they build are very deep. Secondly, I think similar to what Jonathan mentioned was the transformation that occurs in our students. And I would say, particularly for those that are coming from non-technical backgrounds, for them at the end of the first semester to be able to say that they can code in Python, SQL, and R really just is beyond what they ever expected of themselves. And one of our students said it best when she said that the program gave her confidence, because she, prior to the program, did not feel like she could be in a meeting with executives and be able to gain their confidence in what she was talking about. And when she graduated from the program, she said her transition to the workforce was seamless and she brought that confidence with her. So I thought that's probably the main thing, is that these programs, you know, all these programs are really going to transform you from the person you go in to the person, you know, either it's a business data scientist or a data scientist, and really give you that confidence to to be in that meeting with the C-level suite and be able to get those ideas out.
And I'm going to just underline that and say, you know, self-confidence is critical to one's success. And it is self-confidence. It's not arrogance. It's not a cocky attitude. It's just feeling that you can make a contribution. You have value to add. And the confidence that comes from that is essential to having a successful, productive, meaningful career, professional career. It just is. And I think that that's one thing that people get from really great graduate programs. They get that level of confidence that they know they're going to walk in and they're going to give something. They're going to give something extra that no one else in the room might be able to give. That's really important. Let's talk a little bit about career outcomes. So people obviously go into these programs knowing that they're going to come out with a job. So what kind of jobs do they get? What kind of employers hire them? I know, Emory, that Allison at Emory, your class of 2019 in business analytics had $88,000 in average compensation. What percentage of them were employed within whatever your mark is, 3 months, 6 months, and what kind of jobs did they get?
Yep, so for every cohort, and we have had 100% placement within 6 months of graduation. And the thing I said earlier, which I think is such an amazing thing about this degree, is the flexibility and the variety of roles and companies that they go to is just really astounding. So of course, being in Atlanta, we get a lot of the well-known Atlanta names recruiting our students, and actually
Coca-Cola.
Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Home Depot hired 12 last year, so that is quite amazing.
Okay.
But we also see our students go to the West Coast to technology companies, to the East Coast and media companies, to large, small, some of our students go into consulting. So kind of back to what I said earlier, this is a very, I think, individual, you know, where students are able to find where they fit into this spectrum, and the types of companies and roles that are interesting to them. We had one student go work for the Orlando Magic and is doing ticket pricing. So just a really great variety of roles. And I think that's the beauty of an MSBA, is the flexibility that it offers. But to give a little more concrete answer, I would say that most of the roles our students go into are going to involve the word analyst somewhere in the title. So that's kind of the common ground that you can see within some of these positions.
Great. Gadish, what about the career outcomes of your students? What do they look like?
So yeah, we in terms of career, we are really happy that our students find quite easily job just right after the program. So in general, we've been around 3 to 6 months for them to find a job. So we were around 90% students after 6 months having their job. Most of them are going into analysts as well, so business analysts and all the jobs that are related to that. And the very interesting thing in the school is that in terms of companies, it has been really, really large. I mean, it's not only big companies, but also some are wanting to go into entrepreneurship, so start launching their own careers. And some of those went to diverse companies. The only thing that they all needed, it was an international kind of company, helping them, you know, to work in different countries. That's really what they were looking for in our big course.
And I know that the advisory board for your big data and business analytics program includes executives from Google and IBM. That has probably got to help.
It does. It does. It does. And we did add this year EY in the board. So those who want to go into consultancy can go with the help of EY as well.
Right. Jonathan, how about for you?
Sure. Yeah, we are at around 95% placement within 6 months of graduation. some of our international students, depending on where they want their role and how specific they are, could be an internship type of role, like the OPT, since we are STEM certified, we do have students that stay in those roles for a little while. We have a 76% starting salary, and our students end up in roles such as data analyst, business analyst, analytics consultant, data scientist, machine learning engineer, and computer scientists. About 58% of our students are in the business data analytics roles, and then 25% in consulting, about 7% in information technology, and then 10% in other. And basically they're ending up at a lot of consulting companies, so Booz Allen Hamilton, Deloitte, Accenture, and then we've got students ending up at IBM, Redbox, Capital One, and Riot Games, KPMG, so really all over the place regionally. We do place a lot of students in Washington, D.C., but we have students that cross the country.
Yeah, I mean, for a specialized degree, you got to say, it seems incredibly versatile because of the range of organizations that are hiring people with these skills, which makes it, to me, even more attractive. Now, Cindy, you have an interesting situation because all of your students are currently employed because they're taking the program part-time, unlike your counterparts here who have full-time programs. So it's not like all of them even want to pivot and go into a new job. So how do you look at the career outcomes of your students?
Sure. They don't want to pivot necessarily, but everyone wants to get a better job. I always joke, like, no one has a burning desire to learn just machine learning for fun, right? We're all hoping to do something with it, right? So what we measure is how many of our students got promoted or how many got new jobs, you know, that they considered a step up. And of our last graduating class, 89% reported that they did that. And so we're very pleased with that.
Wow.
Average salary increase of about 21%. And that could range anywhere from a 5% to a over 30% increase. And they went to companies like Goldman Sachs, Uber, Nike. We saw people going to some pretty impressive places after finishing the program, which we were pleased with. And we seem to, even with our current class coming in, we attract folks from companies like that, right? This new class is Disney and Google and Boeing and GM and IBM. But I mean, the goal is to get promoted or to move into a different role. It isn't, you know, except the pre-experienced folks, you know, you're probably not doing a full-on career change if you've decided to stay in your career while you did this program.
I'd also would add that if your fellow students are from Disney and Google and IBM and these companies, and you're somewhere else and you'd like to work for them, well, now you have someone to immediately network with.
That's exactly right.
Now, Cindy, I'm going to give you another reason to study machine learning out there, so that a robot won't replace you later on.
That's right.
You'll be like the robot.
That's right.
So I want all of you to give your advice to someone who may be considering a master's degree in business analytics. How do they know this is their game? How do they know this is the best choice for them? I mean, it's such a specialized field, even though the degree does seem versatile and you can go to a lot of different organizations and have lots of different kinds of jobs. But what advice do you give to someone who's thinking about this field and making sure they make the right choice for themselves? Yadish?
Yeah, so for us, what we want students to do is to really think about that professional project. So really think about what they would like to work in after their degree. And at the same time, we make them think about their the way they want to work into data. So if they want to go in something really technical or more business oriented, because we are with a business oriented kind of big data and business analytics program. So it's really how to manage big data and not really the technical, even if they will have some technical courses during the year, half and 1.5 years with us. But they need to really think about that project, but because the aim at the end is to find a job for them, to help them entering, you know, the professional life. So we will have them if they really did think about it. So we are not looking for people who have the best academic curriculum. It's not the only thing. Academic is important as well, but I mean the reflection that they have about the professional field they want to work in afterward is really the most important thing, and the motivation, of course. You have
Right.
to be really motivated.
Absolutely. Now, Allison, what questions should an applicant ask him or herself before getting into this?
One of the pieces people need to come to terms with is that these programs are not coding programs or computer science programs, but coding is a means to the end. And you have to be comfortable with the coding piece to be able to be successful. So I usually ask students that might not have coded before to go ahead and do some data camp coding exercises, just to make sure that they're able to get the mindset that coding is not going to be a hurdle for them. And then the other thing I tell students is just talk to people in the programs, talk to our current students, talk to our alums, and through those conversations, can you start to picture yourself doing what they're doing? And I think that's a big piece of it. We all have great things to say about the program because we're admissions directors and we're supposed to, but really the people to get the great information from are those who have been through the program and are now out there working, applying those skills.
Yeah, that's really vital, I think. Jonathan, your advice?
Yeah, I would echo what Allison said, and definitely do your research. I think we do all have great things to say about our programs, but we're all, I think, very accessible, and we are interested in continuing the conversation with prospective students. So we will put you in touch with alumni. We'll put you in touch with current students, and they are the experts essentially. So. But beyond that, I would say that you definitely want to ask yourself, do you want to be in one of the hottest areas of the job market right now? Are you prepared to do what's going to be asked of you? And are you going to a program that will prepare you for that? And so I think there are a lot of opportunities in almost every industry, or almost in every industry and every type of company now is either developing an area of data analytics or has a long-standing area. So you can basically work for any type of company you want within the specialized role.
Right. And Cindy, last words.
Sure, last word. So I think, you know, any decision like this, you want to really decide what's important to you and then measure the programs against that, right? So decide what it is that you really want. I think sometimes we get excited about something flashy and cool, but it wasn't actually in our top 3 list anyways. And I would specifically talk about if someone is deciding to do a part-time program, that to really do your research and think about, like, all online programs aren't built the same way. What's important to you? What kind of curriculum is important to you? What kind of faculty are important to you? Is it a cohort structure? Is it live online classes? What is it? And make sure you're really assessing programs deeply to determine that program is going to be the right place for you to invest your time and money.
Really good advice. Hey, it was so much fun to be with all of you. I wish we could have been together in person, but look at this. I mean, in the virtual world, we have far greater reach. It's recorded. It will be seen by many, many thousands of people over the time period that we have it out there. So really, it's been a great pleasure. And for all of you out there, I hope, we were really helpful in teaching you what these programs are like, what you would experience if you went into them, what the outcomes will be. I hope we may have even busted a few myths about these kinds of programs where you're going to get soft skills in addition to the hard skills you get in the program. And while you may learn how to do some coding, don't think you're going to create the next big video game out of a program like this. The coding instruction is to make you feel somewhat more comfortable with coding and to give you the ability to ask the right questions of people who do nothing but code for a living. It's not to make you a coder. So, hey, thank you so much, Jonathan, Cindy, Allison, and Gadesh. It was a pleasure to be with you, really, and stay safe and healthy.